Welcome to the Codependent Me podcast. I'm Tamala Shaw, a recovering codependent, a codependent life coach, and the co-author of God Turned Mommy's Wine into Water. This podcast was created to increase the awareness of codependency and to give a more holistic look at the journey and healing of codependence. Welcome to the Codependent Me podcast. I am your host, Tamala Shaw. Today we have an extra special guest. She has, in the pre-show, just lightened my morning, even though it is evening for her. Just brought me to a place that I'm very, very calm. So if my voice is kind of low, it's because she has set me in this beautiful place. I am with today Brigitte Visser. She is an author and a beautiful human being. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Tamala. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
And thank you for the deep breaths.
Yes, it was very, very good. So I would love for you to tell the audience about you and how you became this light worker, because we all go through a certain journey to get to where we are in the present. So if you could just give us a summary of who Brigitte is.
I popped out of the womb on a sunny Tuesday in June 74. And I can't remember what I signed up for because, when we pop out the womb, we kind of forget. We hit the earth cold turkey. And I must have been off my head, honestly. Every little bit of trauma in the box. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be good. And then I forgot. And so as I grew up, my childhood was okay until we moved to Singapore and then Malaysia. And then I was, assaulted but by a friend of the family, a business partner, actually, from my dad. And I always say this, Tamala, in the 1980s, life was very different than what it is today.
Absolutely.
I didn't talk about it. I didn't understand. And so I kept that bottled inside. And then when we moved back to Holland in 1988, I was also bullied at school because I was very skinny. And then my dad passed away at 44 from coronary heart disease. And that was really hard on me. So it dented my self-confidence. And I always threw my lunches out. And my mom wasn't any the wiser. And so at the dinner table, I would just eat my dinner. And, I was wanting to be invisible in school because I felt so insecure about myself because I was very tall and just really, and I was skinny. And you know what kids can be like in school.
Mm-hmm.
And bullying is not, kids get bullied all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I just potted it up and I started working when I was 15, Saturday job to help my mom out, my sister as well. Because my mom was a single parent.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finished my high school, even before I finished, my mom put me on a course when I was 16 years old, and a modeling course. Gosh, I don't think they exist anymore. And to see if that would crick up my confidence, but it just, oh gosh, it didn't. I did a hair show and they chopped off my hair, which was shoulder length, to a pixie cut, and I felt so ugly. Oh my gosh. Didn't do me any favors.
Oh my goodness.
And when we finished high school, it's always like, for me, it was really like, yeah, but I want to prove to them that I am really somebody, that I'm not a nobody.
Yeah.
And now I think completely differently. Now I don't give a hoot. But at that point in time when you're young, it's like, yeah, but I want to make something of myself. And I wanted to see. And I did prove them wrong, exactly. And so I did travel the world, but my stepdad passed away from cancer when I was 25, and I skedaddled into oblivion. because my mom was leaning on me emotionally, and I didn't really have an outlet.
Mhm.
There are people, and many people do this, right? They put on a happy face because others are so used to it.
Yes.
Yeah. And when they see you upset or anything, it's kind of hard for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can talk about if someone's crossed over or you've got any other issues, you can talk about it for a few minutes, but then it's like, put on a happy face. And
Absolutely.
so yeah. And so I used drugs for several months recreationally. I still went to work, but I did have blackouts. And from one day to the next, I just stopped. I did tell my mom, and she's like, please don't tell me you're using. I said, no. I said, it's done. I'm done. And I was done.
Yeah.
And so yes, I did travel the world. I mean, I lived in Istanbul, been to Cape Town, Paris, which I did not like, but that's due to a past life. Milan, States,
Nice.
so Germany. I lived in Germany as well.
Did you
And
live in all of these places modeling or?
uh, well, well, if I could live off the modeling, great, but I couldn't. So I had to find other ways to support myself. So, like in the States, I was bartending, I was hostessing, um, I was doing some modeling gigs, some were unpaid, all through Craigslist at the time. I mean, this is over 20 years ago. And but that's me. That was my attitude. You can put me in the desert and I'll still be working. The
Mm.
one thing that Mm. And I look back at it now and trust me, I'm really grateful for everyone that's been a part of my life and that still is a part of my life. I carry nothing but love for them now. Well, at the time I could strangle them, but I rolled into dysfunctional relationships. Of course, because I was so broken on the inside. And
Yes.
it was the universe trying to teach me, this little donkey trying to teach me, what but these people are triggers for you. They're reflections. They're meant to teach you something.
Mm.
And I was really just holding on so tightly, even though they didn't treat me right. And I just didn't feel maybe that I deserved better, but it was also I felt that things were my fault. But oftentimes it was like mental abuse or they would and mea culpa because I often supported them financially. Bad girl. Yeah, not to lose them. I was a people pleaser to a T because oh no, I couldn't hurt their feelings. I had to be careful what I said. And who ended up in the boxing ring?
You.
I did. Black and blue.
Yes. Codependency at its best, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But we are all products of our parents and of our environment.
Right.
And we try and figure life out as we go along. And I always say to people, don't worry if it's not really a mistake. I say it's just an experience. What we go through is simply an experience. It's not good or bad, but that's how we view it in society. We've done something bad. This is not good. People are very opinionated and very judgy. And that's that very 3D. And it's all about really about returning to that love for ourselves. Oh my gosh, I hated myself because I starved myself for years and I whack-a-mole with my emotions, right? Because I wanted to run away from them.
Mm.
And that's why I was working so much. I could keep these were two things I could control. We talked about control
Did.
earlier.
We did. Always wanting to control.
Yes. So in 2009, I really hit rock bottom because my ex, who was a crack addict at the time. I didn't even know. Oh, well, but what did I do? Yes, I paid for his plane ticket to come and visit me in from the US to Holland. And what did I do? Oh my gosh, I was trying to find him jobs. I was working in an oil and gas company. And in the meantime, I was trying to find him jobs, making sure that he was okay. But he tripped the switch and just went, he just, he started using again. But I didn't know that at the time that he was a crack addict. I did not know this.
Wow.
Um, and I think I had to go through that experience. And then he ended up with the Crips in Holland. He was out for ransom. and I had to help the police out,
Oh my
and
goodness.
yes, he got deported back to the US. But it wasn't that he did not want to beat his demons, because he did want to. We went to several clinics, but he didn't have the right papers,
Yeah.
so they couldn't help him.
Mm.
And I left Holland in the space of several days. And when I helped the police out, the leader of the Crips, he called me up and he said, "If I ever find you, I'm going to kill you."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he's in prison now in Holland, but it took many, many years because they were building a case against him.
Mm.
And yeah, so that really shook me to my core
Wow.
at the time. And I downed a whole box of ibuprofens. Well, what good did that do me? 12 hours sleep. And then I woke up and then I was like, yeah, but I can't do this. And then my mom said to me, yeah, because I was in the UK, my mom said to me, why don't you go and see a counselor? I did.
Mm.
But going and seeing a counselor wasn't really working for me, because all she said at the end of the hour was, Brigitte, you're going to be fine. You're strong enough. Well, hallelujah. Even
Mm.
I know that. I'll figure it out eventually, but that's not what you say.
Yeah. Right.
And
Thanks.
and so I had to figure out what to do. And so that's how I rolled into the holistic field.
Mm.
And I started off with Reiki. And that really helped me a lot at the time.
Mm.
And, I studied level 1 and 2 in a space of 1.5 years, not a weekend like people do these days.
I
But
know. Yeah.
you
It was a
need
microwave
the case
society. I
study.
tell you,
Yeah.
everything's like this.
Yeah, but you need the case studies and you need to do the healing work. It's so important. And I studied many other healing modalities, from the emotional freedom technique. Uh, did study to become a meditation teacher, which was a shorter course, but I really loved that. Holistic nutrition, just a lot of healing modalities, because I was like a sponge, Bob, just wanting to learn more. And I think that was kind of the start of my journey. I mean, many moons ago, I used to read tarot cards for people. Um, and not anymore. But the thing is, so that was kind of the start. And then I thought, great, great, I'm good now. I'm good now. But the universe and my guides thought, yeah, right.
Exactly. Hey, you think so? Okay, I'm gonna show you
No,
better.
yeah, yeah. And then several years later, I met another little package from the US as well. And I was in a different wrapping, different bow. And my guides were like, oh, let's see what Brigitte's gonna do now.
Mhm.
Let's grab the popcorn.
Yeah,
Because what did I do? I walked straight into that little trap with eyes wide shut.
absolutely. It's what we do.
We
Same
do that.
person with a different face.
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely. And this one moved from an hour away to 2 doors down for me, because I bought a place in St. Petersburg in Florida. And yeah, again, I did the same thing. And it was because he wasn't working, he was depressed, he lost his mom, he had a reckless, bless his heart. He's doing very well now. But yeah, so I was trying to find a job. So I was helping him to pay his bills. And I was working 7 days a week.
yeah,
Don't
of
blame
course.
me. Of
Absolutely.
course.
Oh, absolutely. It's how it is. It's how we roll.
Absolutely.
To make sure you have
And,
everything that you need, even if it takes me 7 days a week to do it.
and I could just try to get away from him. I would be in the dark in my home because I didn't want him coming into my home. And it would just be laying on the floor and screaming at the universe. And then I sold my home to get away from him. I loved that home. Love, love, love,
Oh my
love that
God.
home. And then, of course, I bought another home, and it was a money pit.
Yes.
But, and I sold it at a loss. But the point is, it's like, because I was just screaming so hard, it
Mm.
was like, oh, all of a sudden I saw a little breadcrumb. Like, why didn't I see that there before? And so that was in the form of combo, which is shamanic frog medicine.
Mm.
And again, it's I did this in up in northern Florida somewhere,
Mhm.
and an Ayurveda center, and the guy. that was a shaman. He was from Peru, and he went to Peru every single year. And I didn't do my research, just like with ayahuasca, a week ago. I didn't do my research on purpose because once you do your research, you cap your expectations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I just wanted it to flow.
Mm-hmm.
And so he burned four points on the top of my leg, on my calf actually. And he put the frog poison on there. And honestly, after 10 seconds, it hit me. Oh my gosh, I had to purge and purge. And, I have to drink 2 liters of water as well. And I was running to the toilet, and, he was just helping me because he's so used to it. And I mean, it took me 4 hours because I always say my ego was battling so hard to keep my
Mm-hmm.
soul in the trunk of the car. Yeah, because the ego wanted to be in the driver's seat.
Ego, yeah. The ego
Yeah.
always wants to be in charge. Absolutely. Everybody else get out of the way. Because ego is here and standing tall. You hear me?
Yeah, and you know what I always say? It's like the ego is feeding the mind, right? And it's feeding it little mocktails, and the mind is mocking the soul, of course. So that's why the mind and the ego are in cahoots.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
It's like the mind sobers up, and it's had this it's shift. The mind has shift its mindset, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, let's get the soul out the trunk, and put the ego in the back.
Right. Absolutely. Please do. Check it out.
And it's like, the ego is not a bad thing. I always say it means ejecting God out because it's what we do. It's like we're plugged into source,
Mhm.
but we switched off the light.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's why we are so disconnected from one another on a conscious level, whereas on a higher level, a subconscious level, we're all connected. We
Yeah,
are all connected.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so anyhow, with this guy, I mean, yeah, so I did combo. And then my guides were like, Brigitte, there's a fair at First Unity Church. I'm like, no, I'm not going. But you are going. And it was almost like they ushered me out the door. It's only a 5-minute walk.
Oh, wow.
And I went.
Yeah.
And there was somebody on that list that just piqued my interest. And she was an Akashic record healer, so
Oh,
past lives. And I plopped right in front of her. And she always says, she's to this day, she says to me, you just plopped right in front of me with your energy beaming. And and so she really helped me. And I had several sessions with her after that. And, we went back to a past life where my ex from Florida had been somebody who wanted to climb the social ladder. And I was well off. I had my own business, something to do with herbs,
Mhm.
but I can't quite pinpoint it. It's not really important. But the thing is, he poisoned me with an arsenic of sorts. And under the guise of, I am healing you. But several months later, I crossed over. And it's one of the reasons that I had severe stomach issues. I couldn't hold any food in, and I didn't understand why. And the doctor in the UK said, well, maybe you have an IBS strain. And he's like, you need to have, I don't know what it's called. I always say, he told me that I basically needed to have a camera shoved up my
A colonoscopy.
colonoscopy. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
And, and I was like, no, to myself.
Not
It was
today.
really, really, yeah. And I was going to work. I mean, I don't even know how, but I managed to go to work, and I managed to soothe my stomach with mangoes. But I couldn't even drink tea because it just came straight back out. And my guides are like, yeah, Rikita, all you need to do is ditch the guy. Don't you get it? Anyhow, that was before. But after I went to see her, the whole energy changed between us, and he left me in peace. And the last couple of months I was in St. Pete, I was kind of nice. And yes, I taught workshops, I attuned people to Reiki because I did my Reiki masters, but it wasn't really my forte, but we keep on learning and we keep developing. And yep. And so Alania had this workshop on how to be a divine channel. It's like, great, let's go. Why not?
Yeah.
And I went, and it was a really big group. And so I sat somewhere in a corner because I didn't want to sit in a circle. I'm very antisocial like that. And and so he had this meditation. I counted to three, and I got lost somewhere because I don't know where I went. And then she counted back from three to one, and I was back in the room. And everybody told their story, and I'm sitting there. I'm really upset. I was actually really upset because I didn't see anything, and they saw the masters or the guides. They got messages. And then she had this really simple exercise. And anybody can do this, where you just pick up a notepad and a pen, and you just say to the universe, "I'm open and I'm ready to receive."
Mhm.
Yeah. And then people say, "Yeah, but how? My mind gets in the way." No, just be open and ready to receive, and just allow whatever comes through to flow through. And even if it's just a few words to start off with, that's fine. Well, my mind was already shot to hell. So when I went home, I sat there, and it was late, and I sat there, a pen, and I did that same exercise. Oh my gosh, and it started to flow. And then I looked back at it, with several pages, and it was in Old English prose. And so that's how it started for me, the channeling. But like when you go and work out in the gym, it takes time before you see the
To
results.
build that muscle.
And
Absolutely.
yep. And so the same with channeling. And so I started to do it every day, and I asked questions. And then I had my cards, whether it was my angel deck, ascended masters, I would just pick a card and ask them if they had a message for me, or ask them to describe a lifetime. And that was a really interesting exercise. So I really learned a lot from that. And it's like, people ask me, how do you discern who you're talking to? I said in the beginning, I did not.
Mhm.
I think it's the cards that helped me. And it actually is not important. It's just that people like to know who they are sometimes talking to. And because we're all one anyway.
Mhm.
And yeah, I work a lot with the Ascended Master Saint Germain these days, Archangel Michael, but I'm just like a little bike messenger. I just
Michael's
convey
my favorite.
messages as
He's
and
my
when.
best friend. Michael's my best friend. And
He's funny.
he is. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm sorry. I
He's a
just get
jack of all
excited.
trades. I call him a Jack the Lad because he's like, yes, you want to, people think, oh, yeah, he's about courage, but he's also about stepping into your fears.
Mm.
Yeah. What do you think? He's going to take you out of that fear? Oh, I'm sorry. No, you don't have to go through that. It's okay. I will resolve it for you. Oh, heck no. He will slap your face right into your fears.
That's right. You're gonna learn today. You're gonna figure it
Yes.
out. You have to go through some stuff. It is no
You
magic
do.
wand.
Nope. Nope, there isn't. Absolutely not.
Sorry. Go right ahead. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I just work with whoever, but these are two of the main ones that I work with. And I've also used the unemployed angels because I like to use them, the volunteer angels. Because they're at the job center in heaven, and they're like, "Oh, come on, is anybody gonna call
Right.
call for
Somebody,
us?"
please.
Right?
There's something.
Please.
No, there's something down there for me to do. Come on. Just call me.
Yeah, so I use it too, and I just write it down. I had 30 requests. I might need to add a few more. And so, and some of them I can strike through because they've really helped me out.
Yeah.
And people are like, yeah, but how do you know? How do you know that they're going to help? Because they do. You just make sure that you ask. I ask for the unemployed angels of the highest vibrational frequency of unconditional love and compassion to help me with blah, blah, blah. And you keep saying that, you keep repeating that. And they do, they're there in the room because
Mhm.
they're happy to help. They're jumping for joy.
A lot of people just don't understand how to do it. So I really hope that the audience hears what you said, go back and write that down. Right? Use it. It works.
It works.
Angels are waiting for us to be utilized to
Yeah,
guide us.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that.
And yeah, and even this year, I mean, last year was tough for me. But the thing is, with all our experiences and everything that we go through, is we come to a point where we understand the experiences and it's like, oh, I understand why this is happening for me, not to me, but for me. And how do I rise above it? What can I do? What can I do to heal myself? Or why does this person trigger me? And
Mhm.
so it does become easier rather than mulling around and being angry and, being like the big bad wolf, trying to huff and puff and blow a house.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it's all about understanding and understanding also that we are energy and that we are alchemists and that we are love in our essence. That is our essence, love.
Mhm.
And so we are in this duality jungle trying to find our way back to ourselves.
Mhm.
And we're not just here to lift our own frequency, but also that of Mother Gaia. And we are frequency, is what we are. We are, as I call it, sacred geometry.
That's good. That's really good. I love that because on the show, we always talk about the things that can be done to get rid of, to work on your traumas, to work on the childhood issues and all of that. I'm enjoying this particular episode because it gives a different list, right?
Hmm.
It's not giving a carnal list. Write this down, grab your journal, right? Which you do those things, but you are getting the answers from a higher power.
Yes.
That's where this particular segment that we're talking about right here is very different. Um, like I was telling you earlier, people don't understand how important meditation is.
Yeah.
Um, Meditation and prayer is different. You should do both several times a day. um, so I love that you are talking about this because it gives people something different to use as a guide or to get certain answers because we don't all, like you said, the unemployed angels are there waiting, where if everyone knew that, they'd all have something to do.
Yes, they would have.
So,
Yes.
I love this. I love this. A lot of people don't really utilize Reiki, but that energy. The first session that I had, it was enlightening. And I like later on, I called her. I'm like, I'm so thirsty. Oh my God,
Yeah.
part of it, right? So I hope that people do more work in understanding the work of energy because we are energy.
Yes, we
Um,
are. Can I just say one thing?
Absolutely.
Because you were talking about meditation and prayer. And so this was given to me not long ago. It's actually my latest book. I said, you know what, Brigitte? Meditation is prayer in motion.
Ooh, I like that. I like.
Mm.
Mm, yes. Okay.
Because even prayer is meditation, right? So even if you reverse it, it's the
Exactly.
same thing. It's kind of different, but it's the same thing.
For sure. And and I found that a lot of people they don't really know how to meditate, and that there's so many different forms of meditation,
Yes.
right? It's a lot. It's a lot out there. It's a lot that can be utilized. It's a lot that can really guide us. Like we were talking about earlier, the control. We try to control things,
Yep.
control other people, control our lives. Where if you really get to this place, life will flow. You're
Yep.
guided. It's a guide. You'll find that you'll know you're going in the right direction because of synchronicity. you'll talk about or think about something, and all of a sudden these things will happen. It's just like, oh, I was just thinking about that. Oh, that came up yesterday. Oh, and it's just like, for me, it lets me know I'm going in the right direction, but it also blows my mind. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I was just praying about this, or oh my goodness, such and such
Yep.
said that. I just went to church. How did that come? Oh my gosh. It's all, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Yep. I agree.
So you are a fantastic author. Can you tell us about your books?
Yes. My first one came out in 2022, which is that was a big book. And it's personal. But it talks about, it's two in one really, because the first part talks about, it's called Becoming Authentically Me. And the first part talks about why we had to go through this awakening period. So the COVID, um, it goes back to the Second World War, even the Anunnaki, Atlantis, Lemuria. I touch on the fact that there is no death. It is just a word in the dictionary because our souls are eternal. We go on. We can never die. We're energy. All we can do is transform.
Mhm.
And that's what we are, Transformers. I love the Transformers movies anyway. But so it's really about that. And the second part is about my life and just, I talk about depression. I talk about suicide, mental health, which is really important. And I think depression, it's a whole chapter where Archangel Michael just beats it to death. And the fact is, he can sum it up in one sentence as he says, well, depression is you've shot your mind to hell. Yep. Because that's what you've done, basically, because you keep, when we are, and I've probably been depressed, borderline depressed. But I've taken something once, and then I went back to the doctor, and he's like, you're not taking them, are you? I said, no, I don't want them. I said, I will sort this out. I said, I don't want chemicals to suppress my emotions. And that doesn't mean that I'm against it. It's got nothing to do with that. We all have to heal according what agrees with our spirit. And I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, so I touch on everything and on my dysfunctional relationships, and it's infused with many channeled messages from the many masters, but mostly Saint Germain, Archangel Michael, but also Archangel Zadkiel, and several others. There's stuff with the Palladians in there. They talk about love, and when I wrote that chapter, I'm like, no, man, I don't want to write this. And they're like, you're gonna sit down and write it. Okay. So I did. So that was a really big book. And then I did two collaboration books. One came out in May called Become Empowered, and then another one, which is 12 or 13 authors that discuss how they've overcome their trauma. And then another one, I'm So Glad You Left Me, which came out 2 weeks ago in October. And again, it's 88 stories of women that have overcome various things in their lives. Yeah, and my second solo book comes out at the end of November, around Thanksgiving. And it's called Child of the Sun, En Route to Enlightenment in India. And it talks a lot about breath work, the importance of meditation. Because we breathe up to here, right? That's what we do. And we forget the rest. Yes.
I told my kids that probably, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago. I was like, we're all breathing incorrectly. They're like,
Yeah.
what? Something that we do automatically. Da, 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 da. I'm like, yeah, I know. And we do it wrong.
Yes, we do. That's one of the things that I learned in India. And they do the Sudarshan Kriya, which is a little bit more. We when we do the breath work, it's like I always do 4, 4, 4, 4.
Mhm.
So or now it's 8. Breathe in 8, hold it for 8, out 8, and then hold it for 8. And
That's really good.
yeah,
It's really good.
yeah. So I learned that there, and it was fascinating. India was fascinating for me. I'm part Indian from my mom's side, but yeah. So I talk again about mental health. I talk very much about the corporate world, because we are wage slaves. We are these little ant workers along the factory belt, and we are not really living. We are allowing ourselves to be lived. And so right now I'm still in that corporate grind. And the corporate grind, it's funny because that's all about control. Yeah, people have to do certain things. So it kind of clashes with what I'm intending to do. And for the longest time, it was really hard for me. Then I let it go. I was like, no, this is a stepping stone.
Yeah.
This is a stepping stone. That's all it is. So, I mean, I'll put in the hours, and sometimes they're very, very long,
Mhm.
but I know it's only a means to an end because it's not where I'm supposed to be till the end of days, right? Of my life.
So
Um,
I was always taught that we are not human doings, we are human beings. But we right
Absolutely.
now in life are it's all about doing, do,
Yeah.
rather than just being, right?
That's the masculine, isn't it? The
Mhm.
do, 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 do.
Yes, absolutely. So we are human beings, not human doings. So that's what the whole corporate, oh, yeah, anyway, you know how I feel
Yes.
about that.
Yes. But ever since people have started working remotely, they do take advantage, and employers do take advantage. And I see that more and more. And so I really do talk about that. I talk about relationships. I talk about the narcissistic relationship that I was in for a short while with my ex, I might add, from the US, the one that was on drugs. And I kicked him out. That was this year. I kicked him out after 3 weeks. He came and visited me in Spain because he was verbally abusive. He basically took over my whole home. He was self-medicating. He had mental health issues, which I didn't know at the time. He had 10 other voices in his head. He kind of destroyed my home. No remorse, nothing. In fact, he told me never to get in touch with him again because I called the cops on him. I needed to get him out of my house. He let
Mhm.
me dry. But the beauty of this was, the beauty of this experience was that, yes, when you're in the middle of it, it's not fun, but you need to rein back your power, your I am power, and you need to take responsibility for your life. Yeah, that is so important, that accountability, because nobody's going to change your life except you. And it was so hard for me. It wasn't a fun time for me because I was living in my study, basically, sleeping there, working there. And yeah, when I kicked him out, called cops, um, that was like it was like a weight had lifted, but I needed to cleanse my whole house. And here's something, if you don't like to smudge, right? Because I talk about this in my book, if you don't like to smudge or to smoke, I asked my guy, I said, well, how do I clean my home? And so this is what they said, Brigitte, you've got table salt, which is fine. You've got distilled white vinegar. Yeah. And you have sage essential oils. I'm like, no, I don't. So I went back up and I opened the box. Boom, that was the first thing I picked up. I'm like, no, I have this. And so I mixed it in warm water, and that's how I cleansed my whole home. But
Nice.
you can also use distilled water and then, add the salt and this distilled vinegar and then the sage oil drops. That's fine too. And I called it Finzasa. But it's so powerful. I didn't even know that. I didn't even realize it. And it smells great too. So anyhow, I talk about the relationships. I talk about love and what love really is because it's not an emotion. It is who we are. It's a frequency.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I talk about my time in India and he did satsang. Satsang is where you go and you clap and you sing. And I avoided it at all cost. I was like a Houdini. Boof. No, thank you. But
Want
it's
to be
yeah,
seen, right? It's like,
no, no, thank you.
no, thank you.
Uh, it's all about the art of living in Bangalore where I stayed, and it was just a very that was in meditation wise, that was life changing for me.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, again, like I said, and I talk about suicide as well. I talk about Ayurveda. fear, depression, you name it. So it's got a little bit of everything in there, but there are also techniques to improve your life.
Nice. Very nice. And I want the audience to know that life is truly a journey, right? So
Yeah.
you're never healed, you're always
Nope.
healing. So
Yes,
it's kind of like you do the work, you might slip back into something.
I did.
Nine
It's
times
okay.
out of 10, you slip out quicker because you're lost,
Yes,
right? I it's like, oh, I know this. Oh, I've seen this episode before. Hold on. Nope. I don't like the ending. I'm turning it off. So,
absolutely.
yeah. So you just have to know
But
that.
yes, and I think, for me, like I don't see people as villains anymore. I just see them as reflections. And that's the shift in perspective as well. I don't have time to hate. I don't have, oh, I don't have time for that. I love you,
Much low
but it's okay
vibration.
to let you go.
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. With love. I'll let you go
with
with love.
love. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yes. Because when you do that, and then, I mean, I started my healing journey after that because I knew, yeah, I knew I had to. So I had light language because I'm also a light language healer. And, but I have a go-to healer that does light language as well. And so what happened was that stuck trauma got dislodged. And then, of course, I did the psilocybin, which is mushrooms and San Pedro cactus, which was which loosened even more. And then I did ayahuasca, which a lot was purged. And it's, as you said, light is a continuous healing journey, and it's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, it's better than to remain where you are. It doesn't matter. I don't care how old you are, what you've been through. It's all about looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, you know what? I'm worthy of living a better life. I deserve it. I am deserving.
Absolutely. Where can they find your books?
Amazon, Amazon worldwide.
Amazon. Yes, I will put all of the information in your in the show notes. I'm saying this to our audience. I'll put all the information in the show notes. So if you want to go and check them out, the links, like you'll be able to just click it. It's good. Powersoulhealing.com. Tell me what they can find there.
They can also see, well, my books are on there as well. They can, what else is on there? Gosh. Power Soul Healing is all about empowering ourselves back to the grid of who we most authentically are.
Mhm.
And there will be, you can book me for light language sessions.
Yeah.
And for those of you that do not know what light language is, it's frequency. And so been it's been around since the dawn of time, but it's just been forgotten. And now it's slowly coming back. And I work with a lot with the intergalactics. Also Archangel Michael. Archangels have a very harsher vibration, but everyone is different. And so on a conscious level, your mind is not going to understand it. You're like, what the heck is this? But on a soul level, your soul understands these light codes just beautifully, and it really just absorbs it. And Archangel Michael actually says it's a tincture for your soul to drink in.
Mm, that's good. That's so good. This has been wonderful.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
I truly,
Totally.
truly appreciate you coming to the show. I pray
I
that,
happily.
yes, I'll have you anytime. You just let me know when you want to come back.
Oh,
Um,
I'd love to.
I'm here. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. At any time, we will um, exchange information and you just let me know.
Yes.
You don't have to worry about getting on my books. You just have to contact me and we will figure it out. Oh my goodness. So I ask all of my guests that if you could leave one tidbit, one little nugget for the audience, what would it be?
Oh, one little nugget. I've got 10 little nuggets. But
Give them as many as you want.
right. Okay. So the first thing is that if you want a better life, get off the couch and start doing the work, because trust me, you can. You are far more capable than you've been led to believe. And if you don't believe in yourself, I believe in you, and I believe that you can do the work.
Yes, I believe in you too. Hello. We all are complete.
Yes.
We are all complete. Just have to do the work. Everything that you
Yes.
need is within you. You just have to do the work. All
Yep.
right. Well, audience, this has been phenomenal. As I tell you guys all the time, you could be on any podcast, but you chose this one, and I am grateful. And I want you to remember that you matter and your story matters. And until next time, me and Brigitte are out of here. Bye.
Yep.
I understand that nothing is more valuable than your time. So thank you for listening. Be sure to join our Facebook group, Codependent Me, and check out my website at codependentme.org. Thanks so much. Have a great day.